Now, US stocks have soared as investors assess what Donald Trump's return to the White House will mean for the economy and also the world. Big bank stocks led the way on expectations that Mr. Trump's policies will lead to stronger economic growth and less regulation. So let's bring in Chief Business Correspondent Ian Verrender now. Ian, investors are welcoming Trump's win.
Yeah, well, Gemma, that's right. I mean, the market was up 3.6%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average at least, and so that's a huge lift on Wall Street overnight. Following this, there was a couple of other reasons in there, though. I mean, a lot of investors did expect this to be a much tighter race, and the prospect of a drawn-out legal battle, and possibly even social unrest and perhaps even violence, really unsettled markets prior to that. So that the fact that Kamala Harris actually conceded very quickly just lifted all fears, and so the volatility index dived, and people really just went for stocks.
Gotcha, so it gave that certainty there. Now, we know that Donald Trump has promised tariffs on US imports of Chinese goods. What effect will that have, and what could be the knock-on effect that we feel here from
Well,
that?
look, everyone is pretty much in agreement that if Donald Trump does, manage to get all of his policies in place to the stated degree, 10% tariffs worldwide and possibly 60% on China, that will lift inflation in the US and possibly globally. It will result in lower growth globally and possibly higher interest rates around the world. So it's not looking particularly positive on all fronts. And interestingly, we talk about Wall Street and the market really racing ahead overnight. For the past 6 weeks, money markets, and particularly in the US, have been going in the other direction. So interest rates, the 10-year government bond rate in the US, which is the global benchmark for interest rates, it's been rising. Interest rates have been rising for 6 weeks now in anticipation that perhaps global interest rates will be forced to rise if Donald Trump wins back the White House, which he's suddenly done. Now, this is really, really unusual because the US Federal Reserve, the world's biggest central bank, is in the process of a rate cutting cycle. It's only just started. Now, it's had one cut so far, a double cut, and it's got another one coming tonight. So the fact that the money markets are pushing rates in the opposite direction to the US Federal Reserve, incredibly unusual here. So markets are expecting higher inflation and higher interest rates.
On tariffs again, and understanding that we would feel the effects on tariffs on Chinese goods, of course, but we have a free trade agreement with the US. Does that give some protection for Australian firms from any tariffs from the US?
Look, free trade agreements really aren't worth the paper they're written on. Right. I mean, all you've got to do is look at our free trade agreement with China a couple of years ago, where they basically imposed trade restrictions on everything that we export to them, apart from iron ore, to give you a bit of an indication there. So no, I don't think that free trade agreement will protect us. It would require negotiations between our government and the US government to get some kind of concession through, which did happen in the last Trump administration. We did manage to negotiate our way through tariffs at that stage. But look, there's no doubt that if the tariffs that the US is talking about imposing on China come into force, that will affect the Chinese economy in a major way. And we are, of course, China is our biggest trading partner. It couldn't help but affect us as well.
Ian Verrender, thank you.
Thanks, Gemma.